Hey, Sagittarius. Thank you for joining me for your July reading. I'm Madeleine, if we haven't met before. Very much looking forward into getting into your cards. But first, let's talk about your stars. So we had a very potent lunar eclipse in the sign of Capricorn on July 5th, which for you, Sagittarius, means it was a full moon / lunar eclipse in your house of money and values. So a lunar eclipse is like a full moon on steroids, and full moons are pretty powerful on their own. Full moons bring things to either culmination or crisis. What it's really asking for is consciousness. All of these different alliterative C words. But my favorite analogy to use to talk about what a full moon and especially a lunar eclipse is a pot of boiling water. If you are aware of what you're putting in your pot of boiling water, you're aware of how long it's been boiling, you're keeping an eye on it, you're cooking in the kitchen, right? You can cook up something really beautiful with this eclipse energy. However, if you got a pot of boiling water and you walk away and forget about it, or you're tossing things in there willy-nilly and keeping no track of time, you could potentially create a big old mess and things could boil over in a way that you are really not wanting to have to clean up, right? So, having this eclipse in your house of money and values says that Spirit is asking you to take some inventory, to really put your consciousness on your net worth and your self-worth, because they are connected. Not because how much money you have makes you worthy, but because we tend to get what we think we deserve and what we think we are worthy of. And therefore, we want to examine, what do we think we're worthy of? What do we value? Because again, this is also the house of what we just simply value. What are my values? What are my boundaries? What are my lines? What do I believe in and care about? What do I invest in? Whether that's time, money, energy. Let's get into it, shall we? Let's get right into your cards, Sagittarius, and see how they play with your stars. So, Spirit, loved ones, guides. Wow. Jumping cards already. They're ready to talk. What does Sagittarius need to know, please, Spirit, in the month of July for their highest good? About where they are, where they're coming from, where they're headed, the energy available to them. Where do they want to put their focus for their highest good? Their greatest joy, their greatest fulfillment, Spirit, their greatest realization. Woo! Sagittarius, July, Sagittarius. Okay. July, Spirit. All right. I don't even know how many cards that is. Feels like a lot. Woo! It is a lot. All right. Well, they have a story to tell, Sag. Let's talk. Spirit, July. What is July bringing for Sag? What do they need to know? Sagittarius sun, moon, rising, and dominant folks. What do they need to know in July for their highest good? Oh, ho, ho, ho! Wow! Beautiful. I will toss your cards up in just a second, so you're going to be able to see what I'm looking at. Ugh, that damn tower. Whoa, okay. Sag. I mean, this is simply lunar eclipse things. Eclipses be eclipsing shit, It's just how it is. Wow. 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 If you are thinking about pulling out of something, Sagittarius, I really encourage you to do it the right way. That's just... what I want to say. You have some pretty gorgeous cards here. You also have some cards that are warning you. And I don't want that to worry you. Again, eclipses be eclipsing stuff out of our lives. And also, when we eclipse things out of our lives, we do that because it makes room for new things. When I say if you're going to leave something, do it the right way, what I mean is I would advise you not to, like, blow up at somebody at work and then quit on the spot, or even take a job on the spot. You want to really carefully feel this out. I kind of get the sense that some of you are feeling frustrated. I kind of feel like maybe feeling underpaid, underinvested in, maybe a little bit like taken advantage of. And I'll remind you here, Sag, these are of course general readings, so if something doesn't resonate with you, please don't worry about that. This is probably for some other Sagittarian. However, if certain little bells ring for you, I want you to trust your own intuition and follow the through line of this reading, okay? Because I'm getting messages for all the different Sagittarians that are tuning in. So, for some of you, I feel like you feel that you are in a situation that is straight up untenable, unfair, unsustainable. And I honestly feel like putting an end to that situation is not just necessary, but it almost kind of feels inevitable, because I think the sense that you have that this is unsustainable or untenable or is built on shaky ground is just true. The Tower is showing up in the position of what's underneath the surface. So this isn't something coming at you. This is something inside of you that is like, this ain't it, chief. Like, this feels wobbly. Why does this feel wobbly? And it's a strange dichotomy because you have all these other really beautiful cards that show stability and a sense of comfort. But if this doesn't go for every Sagittarius, okay? But some of you are going to know exactly what this is, and I just don't feel judged by this, okay? Spirit says, if you are just doing something because it looks good, don't put a bright white porcelain veneer on a rotting tooth. Do you feel me, Sagittarius? If you feel that, like, I have to stay in this relationship or whatever because this family dynamic looks good or whatever, that would be putting a veneer on a rotten tooth. If you are like, I want to stay in this difficult relationship because I love it and it's worth it, that's totally different. That is not the same thing as like brushing something under a rug and saying, I'm going to stay in this relationship where this person consistently undermines and disrespects me because, like, I just can't stand to tell my mother I'm getting a divorce or whatever. Like, I don't know which one of you that applies to, but like, there is something better out there. There is something available to you. I'm even gonna pull another card. I know we already have like 14 or something more on the board here, but Spirit, this is a portal. This is a gateway. We have the Death card crowning your reading, connected to that Tower, saying hello, out with the old, in with the new, like it or not. The Death card does not represent physical death. The Death card represents the closing of a chapter. And whenever it's connected to the Tower, it's kind of, to me, like no turning back energy. Like, you can try your best to, you know, try to stick this thing back together with bubblegum and toothpicks, but that's what it's built on, is bubblegum and toothpicks, and that shit is going to fall apart if something comes along and rocks it. Because, see, if something comes along and rocks our Tower, but we've built it on good, solid foundations, for example, and this is just an example, but for whatever reason, this is the one Spirit is using, so for some of you, this may be very potent. If we have a wonderful relationship and a healthy, honest marriage, and then times got really hard and someone was, let's say, unfaithful, that's a terrible thing, right? That's a calamity. That is a Tower moment where we have to question everything. But if the relationship is true and the relationship is built on mutual love and respect, and this was a blip and a mistake in a long history of honesty and commitment and respect and etc., then this one hit of lightning is not going to shake apart your tower. But if your tower was built out of fucking toothpicks and bubblegum, it doesn't even take a lightning bolt to knock that shit down. You feel me, Sagittarius? I hope that you can keep a little bit of a light heart. That's all I'm trying to do. I'm not trying to make light of this, and neither is Spirit. Because your stability and the love you are surrounded by is very real. Spirit just said you have to be true to yourself, which you know about yourself, Sag. Like, that is so quintessentially you. You represent the person who is always searching for truth and wisdom, but Spirit is saying very literally you have to be true to yourself in this, or else anything you're doing is a tower. Like, if I take this job because I think mom and dad will be proud of me, I'm setting up a tower for myself. I might have an amazing fucking career as an investment banker because that's what everybody thinks I should be doing, but I'm fucking dying on the inside. Veneer on a rotten tooth. Like, you feel me? It could be the most amazing thing. It could be a child. It could be like, I should definitely have a baby because my partner really wants one, even though I have never wanted to be a mother and really have no desire to have children, but I really, really want to keep this relationship. So I'll just do this thing that I think is probably unsustainable and not great, and then, do you feel me? Do you feel me, Sag? Okay. Spirit coming in strong. Okay. Wow. What a reading this is. This is very powerful. Okay, Sagittarius. Some of you, I feel like, are getting married, having children. Feel pretty great about that for the very most part. Very few of you are trying to like build a tower out of that. Although, again, if that rings alarm bells for you, I want you to pay attention to them. Go find the source of your alarm bells and uncover them, because if something, again, is built on solid ground, then investigating where you see a little bit of a problem, where you get a little bit of an alarm bell, it's not going to be like, oh, this house has to be condemned. It's going to be like, oh, you know, we need a new support beam over here. Do you know what I'm saying? Spirit's coming through with like the architecture vibes because of the Ten of Pentacles, but okay. Where you begin this month is such a beautiful place to spring from. The Two of Cups crossed by the Ten of Cups. These are the cards people want to see like most in their readings so often. This speaks of a beautiful partnership, and this speaks of a beautiful love in general. Then it's just bolstered by the Ten of Pentacles in the position of where you find yourself. So it's like there's plenty of love, there's plenty of money, there's plenty of support. And when I say plenty of money, what I mean is there's more than enough. There's like enough for you, enough for the people around you, enough to provide the kind of support that you want to provide. Some of you may be starting families, because that's the kind of energy I'm getting here, in which case, congratulations, that's a beautiful thing. You must, okay, before I say that, your free will is everything. There's nothing that you must or you have to or you should do, because you need to trust yourself and your free will and your own intuition above everything, right? Whenever I say any phrase like that, you should or you must or yada yada, that is because I have asked Spirit ahead of time, like, please bring through whatever Sagittarius can use for their highest good. So that language does not mean if you don't do this, you're screwed. That language means here's what we suggest that you do. So what Spirit was starting to say is you must be courageous and willing to walk away from anything that asks you to be less than yourself. And I want to be very clear here, Sag, that doesn't mean any limits whatsoever. You know, you are the sign of freedom, so you don't really care much for like limits and strings attached and things like that. But some limits are paradoxically what allow us to have freedom. So Spirit is not saying you need to run away from any, obligations or shit like that. It's more like, have you ever had a job where you just woke up depressed because you have to go do this thing that is absolutely not you or yours or for you? You may not be able to just quit your job on the spot, but you could start thinking about what is an out for you. In the position of who or what is around you. Queen of Pentacles. This is very powerful, especially when connected to the Ten of Pentacles. This could be a mother figure. This could be and you can be anywhere on the gender spectrum and show up as a queen or a king. It has more to do with personality type. So this Queen of Pentacles could be someone in your life who you see as a provider, as a very steady, dependable, savvy person, someone who doesn't easily get thrown. This person is very grounded, very maternal energy as well. And this is someone who likes to see other people thrive. Spirit also said that this person loves to feed people. So this may be like a family member or someone like that that's like, you haven't eaten, let me feed you, let me feed you. Could be a literal mother. I feel that most of you are very protected by your family, by your relationships. There's a lot of support coming from there this month. And for those of you for whom that is your tower, then Spirit is asking you to ask yourself, how is this sculpting my soul? How is this pain sculpting my soul? Where is this moving me? How is this sandpaper, this friction coming into my life, how is it polishing me? What is it revealing to me? Full moon, lunar eclipse, high priestess in your future. Clarified by the Hierophant. Very fascinating because these are like two sides of the spiritual coin. The high priestess is like the very lunar, quote unquote, feminine intuition and divination and things of that nature. And the Hierophant is like the quote unquote masculine side of that coin, the religion, right? So the rules and the structure and the gates and the secrets of religion that are only revealed to the disciples, right? So this is a very interesting combination because the High Priestess is saying, if you follow your intuition, if you listen to the infinitely annoying, as it can be, I've experienced this myself, voice inside that is saying, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work, this isn't going to work, even when you want it to work so bad, and something is like, this isn't it, and it's been feeling it from the beginning. You may find yourself in July having to finally resign yourself to like walking away from this thing that simply isn't good enough for you or befitting of you, or it just doesn't seem to want to work for you this time. And I don't want to cliche you, but if something doesn't want to work for you, even though you want it really bad, it's not for you. And, you know, when God closes a door, death card, tower card, opens up a fucking window. High Priestess, Hierophant, window into your soul. So this must not be what my soul needs. Then what does my soul need right now? And I guarantee you that whatever else you do, if you start it by doing kind of a spiritual and emotional and psychological inventory of like, how am I feeling right now? What would make me feel in control? What would make me feel like 10 of Pentacles, 10 of Cups? I'm so happy. I feel so solid. I feel so secure in myself and able to provide whatever it is that the people around me need, whether that's money, whether that's affection, whether that's support. What would make me feel that way? And let me allow myself to make changes and explore that. And very specifically, like I hate to say this, but I feel like some of you are going to deal with somebody who is extremely selfish and has been kind of extremely selfish and perhaps quite immature. And I feel like a lot of you have been trying to bargain with this and trying to work with this and trying to kind of maybe even ignore this. And it just kind of feels like, looking at this Five of Swords sequence, it's like it doesn't get better. And I really fucking hate to say that. And of course, general reading, Sagittarius, nobody would expect you to make huge, massive changes in your life based on a monthly tarot reading you heard from a stranger on the internet. But again, if that sets off alarm bells that, you know what, I have been trying to fucking negotiate this job or this relationship and it still just doesn't feel right, this may be the month where you really finally come to that conclusion of, like, even though it's really hard, I have to listen to my soul. If I'm going to progress in life, if I'm going to get in the direction I want to go, and it's not going that way right now, then I must make some changes. That just makes sense, right? That's just pragmatic. If I want it to be different, then I have to be different. I have to choose different to get different. And if you consult with your soul, High Priestess, maybe even consult, you have the King of Cups in the potential position, okay? And the King of Cups is a very intuitive person. That is a person who has great emotional understanding and control. Very compassionate. You may even want to, some of you may already be doing this. If you are, kudos. Some of you may decide to seek perhaps like therapy, because the King of Cups and the High Priestess, these are healer types and psychologist or counselor types. And this may not be a literal psychologist or counselor. This could be a very good friend who is like incredibly emotionally mature and who you just trust when it comes to these things. They have a very soothing presence. They have that kind of non-judgment that is definitely required of, again, either a counselor or an intuitive type person. So if you have an intuitive healer that you like, you may want to get in contact with that person and have them help you kind of go through the inventory. Because once you do that, you are able to create a system that works for you, a system that takes you where you want to go. The Hierophant, the Hiero in that speaks of hierarchy. So the keys and the gates and getting through and moving up to a place where you want to be. Initially, it's intuition. But your intuition and that intuitive person or energy around you eventually points you toward, now here are the pragmatic steps to take. Here's how to build the steps that become the staircase that takes you to the height where your goal is. This next thing that you are aiming for. Because things as they are changing. And it can be hard for things to change when you're in a 10 of Cups, 10 of Pentacles place of like, wait, but it's so idyllic. Why would things have to change now? Chalk it up to the lunar eclipse and the kind of like nudge that we get from our stars to evolve out of a, comfort zone that is so often a misnomer. You've already done a lot of hard work and set yourself up for great success, Sagittarius. So please do not think that just because something falls apart, it's because you weren't working hard enough. It is because something that is more befitting of you is still out here and still waits for your discovery. And you don't have to look out, you need to look in. And then the out will take care of itself. As within, so without. As above, so below. If I have a better understanding of who I am and what I want, my external circumstances make a lot more sense, even if they're not what I want them to be. It's like, oh, right, I kind of do undervalue myself and my skills, so it would make sense that I'm in this job that kind of pays me a little less than I'm worth. Do you know what I mean? We're not judging ourselves, we're seeing ourselves clearly, and as soon as we shine a light on anything shadowy, bam, like that moves and creates new energy, and that is what Spirit is showing me. Some of you may want to do some shadow work. Again, I would highly recommend, if you have a deck of tarot cards in your house, maybe you read your own cards. Maybe you connect with somebody who reads cards or does some other form of divination. But I feel bring a little intuitive light to this. And it's going to dispel some darkness and make some things very clear for you. But what is very clear is that you got to be yourself, even at the cost of losing things that you've invested a lot of time and effort and energy into. If they are not paying you back and replenishing you, well, onward you go. Do you know what this is, Sagittarius? A very interesting set of cards, so I'll be very curious if you do know, or if you have questions, comments. I love to read them, and they also really help me improve my practice. So I appreciate those of you who take the time to do that. And also just like the liking and sharing and all of that stuff really, really helps get the message out about the channel. So very grateful to you that take the time to do that. Thank you again, Sagittarius, for being here. Blessings to you and yours. And if I don't see you in a video before then I hope I will see you in your August reading. Bye.